Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to each one of you. Namaste. Thank you for being here. Om Namah Shivaya. Knowing that this Mahasivratri journey together is unveiling to us so many beautiful facets, especially the facet of understanding more of light that we are, more of the tapas fire that we are, more of the timelessness that we are, the supreme luxury we give ourselves to simply be. And this is the journey. In the human realities, Nandi's inspiration, one of Nandi's inspiration is the declaration of consciousness. And what is so beautiful about this is going into all the masters and taking their quotes. And all these masters, you could see that that consciousness was so much like waves and waves and waves on the same ocean. What was so beautiful about stepping into the zone of touching base with all these masters is understanding how much consciousness is so there and so has taken form as these masters to come and take humanity to the next frontier and the next. See, when you look into Albert Einstein's mind, you also see that there is a level of pragmatism in it. There's a level of atheism in it. This is whom we are. We'd like to crack open any belief systems, come to our own direct experience, and understand the vastness within ourselves. So, this vastness within ourselves, when it awakens us, the first of the awakening experiences, we wish to digest it. Slowly but surely, for most beings, we are given the grace of awakening to why on earth we are here. Now, even if we do not know why we are here, even if that has not yet, we have not yet seen the clarity of it, the awakening to being the spirit slowly begins to awaken us to a greater reality of oneness, the subtle reality of oneness. In the subtle reality of oneness, it's like oneness with all the animals and all living, oneness with all the plants, oneness with even the universe. How else would Ayurveda have come about, or the Chinese herbal medicines, or all the herbal medicines throughout the world? It's the oneness, understanding the oneness, and then allowing that consciousness to flow. And that consciousness, once as intellectual, we know. So, in this dimension is also how the universe is, like all the astronomy, astrology, understanding the whole universe within ourselves. So, what enables us to expand and be that is that which is the Siva consciousness. So, in this Siva consciousness grows states of joy that inspires, States of joy that inspires us in a way in which we have set a discipline to attain it every day, all the time. See, understanding this Mahasivratri experience, we get the greatest blessings we could ever dream of as in the human reality. What could be the greatest gift we could ever receive? First, hey God, I want to see you. That's one of the greatest gifts. It is the greatest gift to see God. But the next great gift is say, hey God, I want to be you. But if we choose to want to be God, we choose to want to set ourselves free. We choose to want to dissolve time. When time is dissolved, we are in the states of Turiya. So the greatest gift of Mahasivratri is the greatest or the best of what humanity, any human, can ever aspire for. And that is to have a superconscious mind. So when we say superconscious mind, we are relating this superconscious mind to a genius. So this genius of the superconscious mind is also the flow. The flow. For instance, in the human realities, as we see our work, as we see all that we are doing, somehow there's a pattern to it, and we flow through this pattern. That pattern to it is what we are setting together now during the Mahasivratri time, where we flow through the pattern and understanding how would it all be, all this of Mahasivratri be, if it was done in one day, once a week. Doing, allocating one day a week for yourself, you have made yourself a billionaire. You are not owned by anyone, and you are a timeless being. Why? Because in that one day a week, you are able to multiply these Mahasivratri energies coming forth in the few days. So, as we descend into Mahasivratri, we may notice that when we say the mantra on and on and on and on and on, the mind is stepping into single pointedness, but it also dissolving away from the single pointedness to nothingness. It is the single pointedness of the mind that holds the nothingness of everything, the void, the vast void. So, in this vast void is timelessness. Now, when we bring our focus into realities, we are bringing into focus energy, an energy of timelessness as time. This time is in reality Maya. Time is in reality a creation of our timelessness. Now re-look into the human realities and ask yourself, every breath of mine that I am taking, what am I doing behind that breath? Am I in the rat race? Am I doing something so totally from my heart that I feel good? So, the outer reality begins to shape since the inner reality is so vast, the spirit. Now, When we say the spirit, we are also recollecting all the aspirations of ours over many, many, many lifetimes too coming together. Not only moksha, but also other aspirations coming together. See, we are the sum total of so many births, so many deaths and births we have taken. Sum total, how many, 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 many. So when we come down now at this point in time, as we let go of everything to being Siva, all the other dimensions of lifetimes too come in. So we are multi-dimensional beings. So as a multi-dimensional being that is meditatively one is whom we really are. This is the state of Turiya. The state of Turiya is a powerful concept. In the first place, Turiya can be shared as experience and seldom even spoken. When you say the sleepless sleep, it's hard unless we experience it, and I'm certain that each one of us, as we are going through the journey, we are experiencing it. So when we say the mantra using our beads, or when you're just saying the mantra, slowly understand that sleep is going to come to us. When sleep comes to us, absorb it through the mantra. Let the mantra joy take over sleep, take over all that which is the body, all that which is the mind. See, what we are doing right now is generating the energies of timelessness. Mahasivratri is generating the energies of timelessness. So, through the Mahasivratri period has reached Mahasivratri, and we are ready to actually say, okay, Lord Siva, we step into you as timelessness as your night. At this moment, you are the timelessness. Then, when we come out to human reality, we are like the sun. All the planets go around us. Our realities go around us. So, in the states of Turiya is that which simply knows, in spite of any obstacle, in spite of anything that is that feels doubtful, still there's an absolute knowing. One of Nandi's favorite beings is Mahatma Gandhi. And, while reading through his book, we understand there's a different dimension, there's a different story to Mahatma Gandhi. It wasn't just that he basically stood against the British and it all happened so easily. There was a lot of challenges. He was in wilderness, political wilderness for over 20 years. He simply did not know what to do. There was a time when he felt hopeless in his writing, but his spirit never gave up. So, but however, he was in the state of Turiya. When you are in the state of Turiya, you have, why the divine beings are predicted, are shown with so many arms, only because that is the size of their mind. They are able to work that dimension. That is the state of Turiya. That is timelessness. So he was still able to churn and churn and churn and churn and churn and churn the whole thing, the whole dream. One day while he was sleeping, Mahatma Gandhi says, I, it was a prophecy. I saw a prophecy. And that prophecy was through the salt march. The salt march was the one single incident that set India's freedom to completion. So that flashpoint of seeing it, when we are the spirit, we see that. We have the blessings to be that, see that, experience that, and live that. The states of Turiya. So, divine beings, all these words Nandi is mentioning, so we can understand it as a concept. But such experiences are often beautiful with the mind so complete in understanding it as experience than anything else. So, when we say, we are going to say the Mahasivratri Mantra that we have been saying through this Mahasivratri, we could say this is the angelic Mahasivratri Mantra. Why we say angelic is all the spirits do go around Lord Shiva. This mantra was given to Bhairavaseka Swami by Lord Shiva saying, These, this is the mantra which propels all beings of light around. So when we say this mantra, Om Om Om, we are dissolving ourselves into the three dimensions that we are. When we say Ah, 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 we are evolving through orgasmic energies. First, as a human experiencing life force at orgasms, as holding that orgasmic energies and understanding this orgasmic energy to be the dance within the stillness. And in this dance, within the stillness, is the wave of the ancient primal Lord Shiva, the state of Turiya. The mantra itself is a state of Turiya. We'll say, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Feel all our resonance connecting together. Every one of us, from wherever we are, we're connecting our resonance together. When we say Om Namah Shivaya, step into being the vast, infinite lingam, the infinite spirit present in the body shrine, and visualize the sky. Visualize the blue sky above us. Visualize the infinite, 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 infinite above us and beyond us and within us. Om, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. When you say the Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, wherever there is the there is an energy to, like a bee, we are drinking that nectar. So the we drink the nectar of to enter into the breathless realm. See, when you say Allah, Allah, la, 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 when you say and go to God, source, At that point in time, through the there's the energy through which we are drawing energies. So let's go into the Om mantra, this mantra, and through draw the energies and then come in from the crown chakra into the third eye. So now when we go into the within the mantra, see a pillar of light within ourselves. Dissolve into the pillar of light, into the that we are reciting together to be the pillar of light. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. As we are saying Om Namah Shivaya, feel ourselves like the funeral fire burning everything that is within ourselves as to being the spirit. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana. Through the journeys of the pilgrimage with Bhairavaseka Swami and Nandi, one of the most neglected parts of all the temples is Yamalingam, the lingam of death, and Chitragupta, the accountant of death. Oftentimes neglected because beings are very, people have a concept of death as from the human realities. But from the spiritual perspective, we look at death from a perspective of saying he is our best friend. He is Shiva in another form, just like the sun being Shiva, just like every energy point being Shiva. Death too is Shiva. So when we go into the surrender to Lord Shiva, we are allowing ourselves to go through and complete all the death experiences of several lifetimes. We are letting go. So our born again is every moment. Every moment we are born again as a newborn baby. Newborn. So into the death experiences, the energies of letting go of karma, of the karmic field that we are, letting go of any karma. Through death we let go so we can transcend to the next and then the next and then the next. So when we say this mantra, let's say the Maha Moksha mantra, we are saying the Maha Moksha mantra 5 times. Let this energy take us through death into the eternal being that we are. When we say the Maha Moksha mantra, we would want to say the Om first, in the beginning, and the Om at the end. The Om is the eternal being that we are. The mantra sound itself is vibratory states that we enter into as being in the human. So when we say this mantra, feel ourselves sitting at the center of whom we are as witness. And feel all the lifetimes of ours. We summon all the lifetime of ours, all its karmic history, and all its death experiences, and we dissolve it into Lord Shiva. Yambagam Yajamaye Gungandim Muni Mananam Mormanganima Mandanan Manior Mungaya Mamrada. Even if you don't know the mantra, just go into the vibratory state of the mantra. Yambagam Yajamaye Gungandim Muni Mananam Mormanganima Mandanan Manior Mungaya Mamrada. Yambagam Yadamaye Gandam Muni Mandanam Mulmanganima Mandanan Murnior Mungi Yamamrada. This mantra is the eternal mantra. In other words, when you say this mantra, no harm, no negativity, nothing can touch us, including death. So on one dimension is knowing Shiva and understanding ourselves to be the eternal being. On the other is being with totality of love to the concept of death itself. So when we would do the puja in the lingam, there was so much of that grace happening to understand that beyond death is the eternal that we are, and that eternal is the superconscious mind, the mind of Turiya. So in the state of Turiya is understanding Lord Shiva as the thread of spirit through the various births of humans. How many births we have taken, there's the thread. So when you say this, say the Om Namah Shivaya mantra, let's expand through time, through all the beings that we are, and bring that being into the now. Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya Namah. 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 Om Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana, Jai Guru Vedana. Now when we say the Om, 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 Om Namah Shivaya, when you say feel ourselves as the angelic oneness, all the angelic beings coming to the light within us, being the light within us, all the life forces, the light beings swirling to be within us as the Lord Shiva, as the Shiva Lingam within ourselves, beyond ourselves, as light. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You hold your breath all the way from the root chakra. Hold the breath, expand and expand and expand and expand, and let the mind sink into timelessness. And imagine time to be the third eye. Exhale slowly through the third eye, coming into the reality of time. So, there is the 24 hours that we are in. And how do we work the 24 hours? In Nandi's case, it's so much fun, miraculous in many ways. We have twin babies, 3.5, boy and girl, Narayani and Anukash. Then we have Uma. And Nandi's wife is a super mom. But however, when you're working on a mode of working on several layers and several projects, time is so crucial. And in this cruciality of time, sometimes at night time you get 2 hours, 3 hours sleep a day. Sometimes. And in those and when Nandi steps into the work mode, somehow all the sleep or sleeplessness dissolves. We attribute understanding, inspiration to being a very powerful tool, a powerful energy, but also there is the dimension that which we are working with on several layers within our existence. There is the family as responsibility, children as responsibility. There is the responsibility as work. There is the responsibility of having to be surplus. There is the responsibilities that confine us to the time dimensions. So, as we come into the time dimensions, remembering we are the timelessness, most time the grounding is very necessary. So, in the grounding of all these energies, the first tip the Nandi would like to give you, this is a secret, this is a powerful tool that you could use when manifesting time, is you would want to write your work as in 6 points. For instance, you are thinking about maybe a book project. 6 different things, dimensions you might want to think about as to what you really need to do. When you bundle your thoughts into 6, it easily manifests itself. Now, definitely writing down the thoughts helps. But within the thought is, how are we managing the reality plane? Now, of course, each one of us are made differently with a different way of thinking. Some can think on one, some need to work on one subject with total focus, and there are others who can't handle one project. But understanding the mind as the flow, how do you tap into that flow? Because when you tap into the flow, everything else happens. Are we able to tap into that flow? The flow is what causes the genius. The flow is where you're painting, you're doing an artist, you're doing something. You forget time, you forget hunger. You're inspired. So that's the flow. So that flow and the flow of mind, how do you attain that when you are in the dimensions of reality, in everything that you are doing? It's the mundane, it's the basics, like driving a car, going to work and back. All this is, underneath all this is the Turiya state. So in the state of Turiya is light a lamp once a day, no matter what, once a day, break out of it, and then come back to being able to plan the day from a higher perspective. When we want to get started the day, you would want to choose the consciousness we wish for, to begin the day, to create the day, to create the reality around us. Do that through your yoga. In yesterday's teaching, Nandi was giving very profound insights into the yoga that is applicable, that the inner dimensions of yoga that you would apply. Because when you have applied, when we are consciously expanding our consciousness through our yoga, then we are super achievers. What we can achieve within our 24 hours is so much as someone else's days. So, for instance, if you think of being like Einstein, staying up, orders, understanding there's something beautiful happening here. Genius just flowed. It was a flow, and that created the genius. To tap into that flow, to tap into that state is to tap into timelessness, and it defines time. So, the supreme blessing we are receiving of Mahasivratri is the experience and the grace and the lighting nature of the state of Turiya. Call it enlightenment. Call it the journey beyond enlightenment. It's all the same. We are awake. So when we are awake and when we are in the time zone, spinning time, we are conscious of two things. First is gratitude at all times. And second is inspiration, no matter what. And the third dimension is understanding time as a player of chess. In other words, utilizing time so wisely. We are given just that 24 hours. Whether we can step out of our 24 hours or not, we are given 24 hours. The clock. And how do we expand time through the clock? This is Sva consciousness. Anyone in the time zone of tapas is able to determine that. But when you come into the human reality, when we come into human reality, when we consciously are aware of our highest purpose, our dream, the dream within us, we awaken to the dream that was pre-existing. Most of us were actually born with a dream. And now we are uncovering it. Like Michelangelo would mention, he was only taking out the excess of the stone sculpture. So, being the spirit, having the human experience awakens us to our highest purpose. Understanding the highest purpose, or understanding even the purpose, the basic purpose, or understanding even this moment, forgetting even just understanding the moment as simply being, and simply being itself as the highest purpose. We spin the world around us. How it spins is entering into the time dimension, holding the center. The center is lighting a lamp. The center is even more powerful, taking one day off a week. The center is even more powerful as you look into the new moon and the full moons. The center is multiplied when we do the Mahasivratri once a year. and utilize that once a year experience every once a day, well, every once a week. So, in the human realities, as we say the mantra, or as with the mantra, so as we have said the mantra before in the meditative state, now when we open our eyes, we are in the 24 by 7 perpetual meditative state. In other words, our mind is very peaceful. There's no more thought. Our mind is like the sky, blue sky, no more thought, just none. Anytime there's emotions, you say, wow, this is fire, for this is sacred fire. Put that emotion into the sacred fires. Anytime there are thoughts that basically that is disturbing our inner harmony, surrender it to Lord Shiva. Surrender it to the mantra within. Know in the mantra within that that reality is a dimension of time that you are surrendering into timelessness. So this is the mighty grace, the beautiful grace of Mahasivratri. Each one of us are celebrating it. And when we wake up to, when we are over here as of now, awake, chanting the resonance of one, we are the human yantra. And as in the human yantra, every thought of us is empowered. So utilize this Mahasivratri period of time to journey deep, 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 deep within, to ask a fundamental question. And that is, please God, let me ask you for the right thing. Let me ask you the right question. Let me, please God, let me ask you the right question. That is from states of Turiya. So, divine beings, celebrate Mahasivratri. We'll meet again tomorrow. Would love to take your thoughts, your questions. Gratitude. Narayani, 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 Narayani. Narayani is the goddess, the calm, the moon, the left breath, the sustenance. Invoke her into our lives. See, there's a beautiful relationship between Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Shiva. Narayan is Goddess Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi's favorite god of worship was Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva's favorite disciple was Goddess Lakshmi. It was a very special relationship. So, in reality, Goddess Lakshmi is in reality a reality. And Lord Shiva is the, the empowerment within that reality. So let's go into the dimensions of the goddess and receive her blessings. Narayani, 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 Narayani. Rub your palms together and receive the blessings. Receive the blessings. So, divine beings, as we chant the mantra, any mantra, when you're saying the mantra 108 times, the gap in between the mantra is like a wedge. A wedge. This is where we come back. We have to come back wherever we are. But this is also the place of surrender. This is also a place of absorbing, that is, to being Lord Shiva. So we absorb light just as we're chanting and the mantra is over, as we step into the next dimension. So we have a question. And the question is about Helen Keller. How? That was her karma, but she transformed it to dharma. See, every one of us have a cap. We are wearing a cap. We are wearing maybe like a turban. It fits every one of us so perfectly. And that is our problems, our unique, exclusively unique problems. Every one of us have a perfect cap. And that cap is karma. The way we are, the face, every single dimension that we are is a karmic pattern, a karmic package. But when we wake up, in the moment that karma transforms to be dharma, and when karma transforms to being dharma, almost instantly we have not only woken up to purpose, but we are whole and complete and inspired. When we are inspired, there's a continual growth. 1 week before Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, he wanted to study a new language. Now, when you look into the dimensions of time, we are able to expand to being the timelessness that is the genius. And that genius of timelessness reflected in time is Dharma, of whom we are. Dharma necessarily means one, goodness, two, to evolve. The energy is to evolve. But beyond this is being in the flow. Being in the divine flow itself is Dharma. Yes. Now, so when we are in the flow, understand ourselves as multi-dimensional, since we are the sum total of so many lifetimes having come together. And we are the thread within it all. Within all these realities, we are the thread. But as we go into the states of knowing and going into the states of freedom, we understand love in its truest form. And in this love in its truest form, we are able to be the flow that interconnects everyone as one humanity. So the question, how can we best meditate on the Nilakantaya mantra? See, the Nilakantaya mantra has been given by the Siddhas as one of the mantras. Nandi's take is use Siva Siva, shorter, easier conceptualization. Also, it's powerful because, see, if you, let's assume there's a pyramid, and the makers of the pyramid wanted to give the effect of the pyramid to anyone and everyone in just 1 or 2 words, what would they do? So there are thousands of ancient Shiva temples. And all these Shiva temples had a blessing to offer. And this blessing to offer was in the form of resonance. And that simple resonance of Siva. Siva. Any human who says Siva is multiplied. So when you say Siva, It is the crown chakra awakening. The crown chakra awakening represents the evolutionary process you have already done. The crown chakra, the crown chakra awakening brings the brings the manifestations of that wisdom to hold the wisdom to the third eye. Now, when we utilize the Siva Siva, if you wish to utilize Nilakanta, good, utilize it. But all this process is, imagine the sky. There's no, when you imagine the sky and you do it, just dissolve it. There's no point in thinking of it, concentrating on it, or whichever. Just let it dissolve. Dissolve yourself. So, the question, how can we ever throw a cap and live a life free of karma? When we worship Lord Shiva, we step into the now. Shiva has no destiny. The moment, the now has no karma because it simply has no past. When we are in the now, we are able to step out of our karmic limitations. Karma oftentimes plays itself in the form of how we react to all the situations. But how we react to all the situations is a momentum of the mind, of the past. It's habitual. There's a habit. The moment we say the mantra, for instance, there's so many ways, but the moment we say the mantra, for instance, to bring the mind to a single pointedness, we have immediately transmuted the energy of the past to affect the way we think. So as we say the mantra and go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the oneness of thought, and the moment we have even expanded ourselves, even if it does not mean that we are chanting, still the mind is in a meditative state, and that meditative state of mind is the now, and that now mind state is not so much bound by laws of karma. There are several layers of laws of karma. Like Helen Keller, it was her karma to be born, and she made the dharma to transform and be. But yet, it was her karma to be born. In other words, this is the karma level which has gone even beyond anything else. Likewise, there are different layers of karma. But the dimensions of karma that we can transmute, the dimensions of karma that will transmute, always dissolves itself through dharma. So all the sages would say, if you are on the spiritual path, do dharma. Open your heart. Do dharma. Activate energies of grace. Everything is energy. Money is energy, especially. Activate. Do. In terms of life and its purpose, the moment we understand our dharma, now this dharma is the flow, all the nature of universe comes to flowing along with our flow to make it happen. It's grace. This is yogam, union of the cosmic with human reality in its perfection. And this is consciousness. This whole dimension of whom we are, and what we will be is the consciousness that we hold. This is Mahasivratri. So, Mahasivratri is moments to understand our liberated self in totality. So the question, can a cap be thrown off completely, then can we get an other? See, we are expanded beings. For instance, Leonardo da Vinci in his CV had 28 jobs as a description. And of his 28 jobs, art was the second last or the third last. He was an expanded awake being. So once we climb up to a place and point of understanding ourselves as a spectator to it all, we understand that any role we play, we are totally being in the now, we are totally 100% that role. So we wear several caps. Each cap has its hassles, but because we see it from above, we see each challenge with a mighty opportunity within it. This comes from understanding ourselves as a swan gliding, as an eagle gliding, and that's whom we are beyond the mind through human realities. Timelessness, gliding with time as its wings. Gratitude, divine beings. Love to each of you, and a beautiful journey ahead. We'll catch up with each other tomorrow here, same time. Gratitude. Love you all. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.